Blanty's adventures in ultra-compact content creation.
If you're striving to make good quality content that people want to watch that has a nice professional polish to it, you might want to think about a stabilizer. The iPhone 11 Pro Max camera that I'm using has built-in optical stabilization for some, but not all of the lenses, and that goes a fairly long way when you're just sort of whipping it out of your pocket to shoot something real nice and quick. But you might want to look into a gimbal as well. I'm sure if you've ever shot at one of these shows, you'll see a lot of people shooting stuff on their phones or on their big cameras with various kinds of gimbals. These two are a couple of folding ones. Here's the DJI one right here, and I've got a little FuTech one here, the Vlog Pocket. This is smaller, this is a bit bigger, this is more expensive, this is far cheaper, this is a little more plasticky, this feels, typical DJI quality, but how close do they come to each other? This little cheapy, smaller, lighter alternative might be all you need. Let's find out how different they are, because there are some interesting differences. Go shoot with them. Alright, I am of course going to show you a whole bunch of side-by-side stuff in just a minute to see how these guys measure up and perform, doing exactly the same job in exactly the same situations. A couple of things about the hardware I wanted to just blush over first. Startup time, which is kind of important if you're running and gunning, is about the same, although this, the DJI, always starts in portrait mode, which I thought would bug the hell out of me because I never shoot in portrait mode, because portrait mode just makes me want to die inside. But you double tap that and you go straight into horizontal proper video mode anyway. The advantage of starting in portrait mode though is the face unlock on the iPhone only works in portrait mode, so that was actually a handy feature. If my phone was off when I started this thing up, it would unlock as I was turning it on, and then I could go straight into that. The other main difference is in the default modes, you can see here as I'm turning them, the Vlog Pocket is a bit twitchier. It reacts a lot faster. There is a mode you can put the DJI into to do that, but by default, it's very, very smooth. And I thought this was going to be a game changer. I thought the Vlog Pocket was going to be just a little bit jitterier, a little bit more handheld looking than this. I thought this was going to be very smooth and cinematic. In reality, it's a much closer match than I ever thought possible. Both gimbals had no problem at all coping with basically the heaviest phone out there at the moment, the 11 Pro Max. Didn't have any worries, although the Vlog Pocket, the motors did judder from time to time depending on what was doing, but that didn't actually translate through to the footage, so that's fine. Handling wise, they are very similar. I do like the handling on the DJI more. It's got a more significant handle, which is a plus and a minus we'll get to in a second. But it has more controls, so I've got a little dial here so I can control the camera and adjust, make sort of micro adjustments in addition to the panning. I've got a little zoom toggle here for compatible apps to use. You can start and stop recording from this. From this one, you've just got sort of a mode switch from video to camera, which only works with the Vlog Pocket app, which is a bit crap. DJI app, pretty nice. In the case of the test footage, I was using both these without their native apps. I was using Filmic Pro in both cases. But I can tell you the DJI feels better in the hand. It balances more nicely. And even though I've currently got the heavier phone on it, the iPhone 11 Pro Max versus the Pixel 4 XL, it still feels better balanced. And in both cases, as you can see, they've got an atypical design for a gimbal, and it's not just because they fold, it's because more and more of these phones are coming up with ultra-wide-angle lenses, and the old style of gimbal is actually getting in the way of that these days. Let me show you what I'm talking about with some footage I took before I went on the trip to PAX. Cue Blunty from the past, from before he left PAX, recording a quick little demo of what I'm going to be talking about in a future video, what I've just got done talking about in the edit you're actually watching. This is the Zhiyun Smooth 2, a pretty classic example of a small gimbal design for smartphones and everything, and this is a design flaw, well, not flaw, but it's a flaw now. In the context of now we have the ultra-wide-angle lens, because as you can see there, you can see the motor. You can see this motor right here. The lens is so wide that this gets in shot now. Never used to, but does now. So that's one of the things that you need to look for in your gimbals these days. There's the motor that's sort of flat to the back, like the gimbals we've been talking about in this video. It's not an insurmountable problem. You can use gimbals like this in sort of a flashlight mode, we tend to call it, where you're holding it sort of more horizontal like that, and that gets the motor well out of the way. But there's that's a workaround, and it can limit you in certain ways when you're doing certain movements or how you have to position your hand, and you can't get sort of high shots by doing that or anything. Back to the future or the present, depending on whose perspective we're talking from, mine or yours as the viewer. So there, as you can see, with these sort of lower profile, more sleekly swept away motors and arms on these things, it's not an issue for the ultra wide angle lenses on the cameras anymore. Not so much an issue for the Pixel, because that doesn't have an ultra wide angle lens on it, does it? But definitely matters with the old iPhone 11 Pro Max here. It let me use the wide angle without any worries at all. Definitely a plus. When it comes to breakdown time and effort, I think the Osmo is a little more finicky because you have to sort of fold it down in a very specific angle to sort of lock it down. You get better with practice, but it was very fiddly to learn in the beginning. With the Vlog Pocket, much simpler. Just folds, well, sorry, you have to, nearly forgot that again. This one has a locking nut on it. Fold it down straight away, and it just sort of folds instantly into its little pocketable situation there. As you can see in the folded state, the Vlog Pocket is much, much smaller. And it literally will fit in a pocket, whereas this, not so much, unless you've got particularly large pockets. But this, even though my jeans pockets, I slid it in, it wasn't particularly uncomfortable to walk around with it in my pocket. But yeah, that's another consideration between these two. The DJI has a nicer battery level indicator there with the blinking lights. This one just has one blinking light that blinks differently depending on what the battery is doing and whether or not it's charging. So that's a nice usability thing. But in both cases, neither gave me any battery trouble through a day of shooting at the event anyway, so I'm not so sure that's a big issue. But as you've been seeing, when it comes to actual use, they both are very, very closely matched. Much more closely than I was expecting. In fact, I had to be real careful when I was editing this to make sure I was putting the right footage under the right label, because it's not as easy to tell apart at first glance than I thought.
As we've got a peaking widow up here. She's going to have to join the fight a little bit more this year if she's going to get enough eliminations to get into the finals. As we jump onto our Lucio, let's see how he's doing.
But yeah, outside of their whatever little additional bells and whistles and such that are added on sort of different modes and the special stuff the apps do and everything, these as basic tools, which one is actually going to perform better for getting a better looking shot? Well, between the two, it's a pretty damn close call, don't you think? Let me know what you thought did better in the down below. And let me know if there's some sort of follow-up test you want me to do in a future video. If there's something I didn't test that you really, really wanted me to test. But what you saw in this video is examples of how I use these, how I shoot with these. And in my opinion, it's a pretty damn close race. DJI edged out just a little bit, I think. Other things worth thinking about the Vlog Pocket being smaller and lighter. It actually is pocketable, as its name would suggest. It really does slide in and out of my pocket very easily. The DJI Mobile 3 does not do that. I tended to sort of hook it into my pocket when I just needed to, put it away real quick, but I knew I was going to need it again, so it didn't go into the bag. So that's definitely a win for the Vlog Pocket. But yeah, when it comes down to picking between the two, I'm going to hang on to both of them. I'm going to keep The Vlog Pocket for when I want to go ultra light, don't want to carry a bag necessarily, just literally stick it in my pocket and go. But for more serious stuff, when I am taking my gear bag, I'll definitely slip in the DJI Osmo Mobile 3 because it does sort of give me a little bit more confidence in using. I like the handling better. I like the onboard controls better. I like that it works natively with Filmic Pro for the start and stop and things like that. It's just overall nicer to use. But if you're on a budget, if you want to save a bit of money, or if you are very specifically looking for something that absolutely will fit in your pocket, oh, it's freaking out there, I tipped it too far. If you're absolutely wanting something that legitimately will fit in your pocket, then the Vlog Pocket is a very legitimate choice in my opinion. Both smart choices. Which one you pick? Kind of up to you, depending on what your priorities are. So let me know in the comments, which one would you go for and why? Meantime, thank you very much for watching. I am Blunty, and we'll catch you next time. And a special thank you to everyone out there who is trying to help support the channel by doing all the things it's supposed to be doing, like thumbing up and leaving a comment or two and sharing and making sure you subscribe with the bell turned on and the notifications of the bell turned. It's just that YouTube algorithm's kicking me in the ass, guys. I need your help. Zip.